Hello folks, how y'all doing today? Oh, it's so bad, not so bad. So as it sits, this religious fixation on Donald Trump is almost frightening. It's as crazy, easily, as the most crazy things that I've seen in videos when Obama was in office from the ghettos where they were, Obama is my savior and all this other type weird. Oh yeah, there was a whole drill these kids were doing with that type stuff there. And Obama is a role model and la 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 la, you know what I mean? Okay. It's no more crazy than that with the stuff with Trump. Okay, these people are insane. On both sides of it now. Both sides. The media's completely just cracked over the man. But his supporters aren't any less over the wall, alright? The fact is that he's playing a WWF con, just like him and Vince McMahon did all the time on WWE, I guess it is. Excuse me. Now that's exactly what's going on. It's just a bunch of huff and puff. Ooh, this guy got on the porch. So what? The GOP sucks cock. At anything, like if you want the decent hours of work and decent pay and all that, the GOP is not your buddy. Correct. But then neither are the Dems anymore, so So what is this? Like, ooh. Since it's funny to me that the workers don't deserve anything. But you deserve all the profits that they make, eh? Because that's right. The guy that actually makes the stuff, does the work, he's what makes your money. You are administering his work to your advantage. It's not the same thing as creating anything, yeah. Okay? So don't even kid yourself there. That's just reality. Look, you can try to benchmark. Actually, it's Adam Smith. Labor, capital, land. They're the three requirements to have a functioning economy and to create wealth. Yeah? Do you understand that? And labor can be robots, it can be animals, it can be whatever, but they all have to be maintained by humans, so they're really just human work by proxy. And that's all they are. Okay? That's a fact. Capital should be fairly obvious. It's sort of what the Marxists would call the means of production, or anything that's not land or labor. And land in this case generally means natural resources, but if it's being farmed, it can mean literally just land used as land, And the capital would be some sort of planters, cultivators, and harvesting equipment, and then the labor obviously would be the guy that drives the machine. I mean, Okay? This isn't exactly super tough, right? And there it is, right? So it has nothing to do with Marxism. Maybe y'all should actually read. You try that? R-E-A-D. Read. And you won't be stupid your entire life. And you won't easily fall for this nonsense about George fucking Soros all the time. At any rate. Or listen to stupid nonsense like Trump. See, I have this horribly irritating trait, right? Well, among others. But I demand, when you're going to tell me something and it's a factual assertion, statement, show me the proof. So you're going to build a wall, show me the foundations, show me the invoices, show me something that demonstrates that you're actually building a wall, not just... Because I don't see that there's any evidence that a wall will ever be built. Do you understand? At all. Okay? Now you can try to blame Congress and this and that, but the fact is Trump cucked out like a pussy. The president can just ignore these people. He has options that he can use under his own, This notion that we couldn't find enough secure fencing to pull out of the ground in one place, bring to the border, and put back in the ground. Bullshit. It's just a ridiculous thing. But no, we couldn't do that because reasons. Probably be too cheap. Wouldn't cost 18 times what it should cost easily. Because no. Right. Trust me. They intend to make this thing exceptionally costly. Something like half $500 million a mile, or just some outlandish amount of money. Foot patrols will do all that a lot cheaper. Foot patrols, Army, Navy, Air Force. Do you know what I'm saying? These the president commands unilaterally. He has no. There is nobody who can naysay him as far as peacetime movement of troops. He's not using them for war, so there's no need for a declaration of war. He's not doing anything that would require congressional approval. I mean, if Congress thinks it does need to approve, tell it to shut the fuck up and mind its own business. Impeach me or fuck off. Impeach me or fuck off. Just that simple. I mean, impeachment's a paper tiger. I mean, if you're afraid of impeachment, you're a real idiot, okay? Andrew Johnson, who was a Southern Democrat, a Virginian Democrat, as it sits, after the end of the Civil War, he was the vice president when Lincoln was president, okay? Now, he became president, obviously, upon the death of Lincoln. Now, they tried vigorously to impeach this guy. It failed in the Senate, okay? Of course, because he was vetoing the radical Republican Reconstruction plan. He was like, no, this isn't going to work. Now, they passed it above his veto in most cases, but that's why they were going to impeach him, you see. You know, he was a traitor and this and that, when really the Reconstruction plan of the Republicans is something else. After the Civil War, right, it's a whole nother thing. Lincoln's was bad enough. I mean, it really wasn't that terrible. It came down to, once the state was back into possession of the Union, I guess, a certain number of people, I think it was 10% or whatever, had to sign a declaration that said, okay, we're not in rebellion anymore. Fine. And then they would vote, send representatives, and resume their place in Congress. Well, there you go, right? I mean, that was the original Reconstruction plan. Then people like, what is that guy's name? Is it Stevens is his name? He's one of the super radical Republicans, right? Took over, and, oh, no, it has to be pietistic. We have to punish these people, you see. They have to be punished, as though Sherman's March to the Sea wasn't punishing enough. The Calvinists, right? The goons. But you see, that need not have been that way. However, the impeachment failed. Even though they were able to pass it over his veto, the impeachment failed. There's just no viable chance. Sorry. Even if the Republicans... Oh, folks, how y'all doing today? Tired, wore out. Yeah, that's how we're doing today. Very, very beat down, but makes no difference. Unpleasant people. It's amazing. So, speaking of unpleasantries, we have the entire third world pouring over our borders from places like Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Costa Rica, so forth. Yeah? Yeah? Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. Now, how about this? Now, I'm going to posit that some, not all, some of the unrest there is a product of American foreign policy, or how should I say it, the flip-floppiness of it. See, basically, because we cut off guns that were sold to anti-communist forces in Central and South America, because of some pious streak, Maoists, real Maoists, people who have a definite tie to China, have great hooks into Central and South America, particularly the Pacific coast thereof. Yeah, it's not improbable that by a deep channel the Chinese are even enabling various gangs that bring chaos to our country, like MS-13 and 18th Street Gang. Those are vicious organizations, of which there's no doubt, if you're a member. If you've made rank up, it's going to be known. Can't be unknown. And I see no reason to keep them alive. Sort them out and headshot them. Put pistols to their fucking heads and in their existence. No more prisons full of them. No more arrests. Kill them. condemned on sight. Oh. Why, you say? Well, put yourself in this. Now, you see, I'm not unsympathetic to these peasants in the third world, You go to one of those markets, they're trying to work. There's no doubt about it. They're definitely trying to hustle. But there's no accumulation. There's no wealth building because, they're under a constant racket from either corrupt police, corrupt officials, or these gangs, or, they get Happy Jack, Rip Off Joe, and, Lowlife Juan too. Voila. Yeah? All in the same go. That's the third world, baby. So, now, generally these corrupt governments are leftist operations that couldn't manage a government to save their life. It isn't that they do social welfare that's a problem. It's how they fund the things, and it's the sort of weird bases for their power that are, they're just, it's nonsensical, yes? There's no rational basis for a lot of it. Yeah, and normally in these countries, the sort of Catholic centrist parties are almost, even the moderate socialist parties are better than these. Yes, you work with what you have. You work with what you have. And I wouldn't choose these parties like blank slate, yeah? But that's, you work with what you have. So, it's pretty easy, I guess. Since the police in San Salvador are already fighting with these gangs on the streets in a vicious, protracted, what is a civil war in all but goddamn name, send them people. Put them in their police uniforms. Wipe these motherfuckers from the earth. Destroy them from there all the way back up into America. Burn them out. Loot them. Pillage them. Hang them up. Put them up on spikes. Make them afraid. Make them know fear. Real fear. They never say from them. Right? You do the same thing with the cartels. Simply round up their personnel and headshot them. No games. No goddamn arrests. No fucking lawyer bullshit. No trials. Out of here. Any intelligence gathered leads to more deaths. Phoenix. If you can put fear in Charlie's heart, you can put fear in the fucking heart of those cartels. Anything that can scare the Viet Cong. Anything that can scare the Viet Cong in Phoenix did. That's the operations conducted against the Viet Cong infrastructure, or what are known as the cadres. That put fear in their hearts. And this is how you take down a cartel. You take out the ringmakers. You take out the people who get rid of the money. You launder the money. You take the people who make the dope. You pop them down, and all the foot soldiers go to wolves on each other. Wow. They all fight for dominance, baby. Create ripsaw violence. The exact kind of thing that trained personnel who were trained to urban combat could use their advantage. To piecemeal the enemy and take them in detail, yeah? I mean, hey. Oh, no, maybe not. Maybe we'll just be stupid and bomb the city from the air, because that works good, except, Let me explain it like this. The Khmer Rouge, well, they didn't have a whole lot of political support. What political support they did have? Look, I've listened to one of the cadres yap his mouth for quite a while. I've watched 35 minutes of that ding, yeah? Now, assuming that the Cambodians translated well, because, Cambodian ain't my speciality, yeah? I know, shockingly is. However, assuming that it is, and I have no reason to think it's not, he's basically saying that because these B-52 bombs cause death, that they were able to say, well, look, they're trying to kill all of you, but it's because you hide and run and jump in the ditch that you live, right? I think that sounds stupid until you realize you're dealing with peasants that have almost no contact with the modern world until these bombs come run out the air on them. And then what contact they had before this, I might note, was Vietnamese who come through and asked them to join their cause, yeah? By asked, I mean, came in, shot the headman in the village and, conducted what they call political mobilization. Shot people until people complied, yeah? That's what they mean, yeah? That's what they mean. There's no other. It's they make it sound flowery, but it's really about killing people until there's compliance. Nothing more, nothing less. It's about deaths. Now, Now, of course, it is minimal. It's true, but nevertheless, and I mean, Charlie was pretty open about it. So for Charlie to complain, now you assassinated. The Viet Cong started out with the process of assassination. They assassinated 1,400 provincial and capital officials within the first 2 years of their campaign. So fuck you and their nonsense. All we did was bring it back to them better. That's all this nonsense, this dumb hippie woman on this one documentary what did old grandma do? She was a fucking codger that was organizing people that were probably pulling people's nuts off and like, you stupid dingbat broad, get your goddamn ass out of the free fire zone so we get this dealt with, lady. You dingwit. My God, man. Get home, Peace Corps. You know? God, old fuzz. You know? Ridiculous. Then don't even get me on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Oh my God. Like, how are you going to stop a war when you can't stop the supplies and you can't get the political elements that organize the fighting units and get the reinforcements up into the sanctuary areas where the supplies are to refit the regiments, you know? How do you win a war like that? Attrition? We were going to kill 17 million of them? We didn't even kill 1 million. We probably got 800,000. That's the best number I ever found. Oh, it's a big number. Don't get me wrong, a hell of a number, but there ain't no way to know what all that bombing up in the trail did. There's no way to know. And I believe it was unsuccessful. I mean, look, it ain't just me. I mean, it's every one of the strategic bombing expert people asked about it at the beginning of the war said it won't work. Now, you know, that's weird. They didn't say necessarily that hitting them hard off the top wouldn't work. What they said is trying to bomb them down over time was like, no, you had to either wipe it out or not. And then we gave them time to disperse. Oh, folks, how y'all doing today? So today, folks, I'm going to do some reading. And I'd gotten this a long time ago off with, NPR. You ask always, why do I use that source almost exclusively? And I'll tell you again. The so-called centrist consensus, that rules the West, that's National Public Radio in America. And I imagine in Britain that there's some bland-ass, straight-to-it bunch of, little news stiplets that aren't the BBC, that are exactly the line the BBC always holds. And NPR, when they say a thing, pretty much Fox News, the rest of so-called liberal news, and I don't know why Fox is, used as, the outsider, because they're so the same, but they all fall in. So, politics shape the debate over what to call far-right extremism. Woo, woo. See, they want to make it so that far-right politics is equal to terrorism. I'm going to say this over and over and over again until it sinks. Okay, folks? NPR and the so-called centrist consensus want far-right gone, and they're using the far-left to ensure that you go away. And by far-right, they mean any right. Do you understand? They mean from Steve King on over to Adolf Hitler. All of that. Flushed. Okay? Now, this is by Hannah Allam. Hannah Allam wrote, politics shape the debate over what to call far-right extremism. Extreme. Now, this was written in last month, but I think it's still pretty important. So a group from the Proud Boys confronts anti-Trump protesters outside Trump's 2020 campaign kickoff rally Tuesday in Orlando, Florida. Maybe. I mean, Hannah says so. The Proud Boys group is known for white nationalists and other extremist rhetoric. No, not really, no. I mean, there are leaders like a gay, hippie, anarchist skater. I mean, that might be the best way to describe Gavin McInnes. So, in the back of the nondescript building at the University of Maryland, a team of researchers combs through the files of homegrown extremists who have plotted attacks in the name of far-right causes. So, universities are acting as information gathering centers on citizens. That's what they just said. Because in a university building, a team of private people are searching through the information of, I'm changing the words into what it really means, into files of citizens who they don't agree with politically. They're kulacking you right now. They're getting you set up for it. Who's bourgeoisie? Who's this, that? Who's semi-proletariat? Who's that, the other? You know what I mean? Just saying, man. In each case, researchers are hunting for the motivation, the ideology that inspires the violence. Antifa? Well, that'd be Marxist-Leninism. Really, if we come right to it, or we could go to various extreme Bukharinite wing of anarchism, or even perhaps there's a strain of Maoism there too, hey? a little Che Guevara, some Valerie Solanas, a little bit of Freud. I don't know. That might be the motivation, ideology. And the motivation really is most Antifa are spiteful, hateful, vile little weaklings who hate life. At any rate, though, so that means digging into the many elements that make up the far right. That means what they're trying to say is they're data mining you. As researcher Michael Jensen explained on a recent afternoon, white supremacist, white nationalist, white extremist, sovereign citizen, anti-government, patriot, neo-Nazi, skinhead, what else? Dun dun dun. Anti-federalist, anti-government. You get it? Okay? Now, folks, is it apparent that there's some kind of serious power play going on here? Now, we also deal with a lot of just specifically anti-Muslim or anti-immigrant kind of xenophobic sorts of cases. So xenophobia, Nazism, terrorism, all of this is one. Oh, and if you don't trust the government, or you're a patriot, or, I imagine, again, just a little bit right of Steve King, who they're going to toss overboard. They have already decided to kill the man for just asking if it's okay to be white. And yes, Steve, it's okay to be white, bro. We don't forsake you down here, bro. So anyhow, though, that list rattled off on the spot is nowhere near exhaustive. There are more enemies. Enemies are everywhere. But it shows the complexities of trying to better understand far-right violence, which federal authorities say is the deadliest and most active form of domestic extremism, except for things like the Orlando nightclub shooting and such, which are done by Muslims. You know, remember those attacks with Muslims? They shot police officers and such? Hey, whoa. Well, in Louisiana, in Dallas, and and then there was some crazy Muslim that took over the floor of the Congress for a couple of minutes. So what the hell? Or was that Antifa? Either way, you know, I can go look it up. I did a video on it. I know I did, you know. So anyhow, so the labels researchers use to code attacks are part of a wider debate over what to call the far white threat. The far white threat. They mean white when they say far right. You know what I mean? So I'm just, you know. And how politics plays in that debate, yes, because it's a hell of a debate. I don't think, shut up, Nazi, don't you talk. You know, a hell of a debate. That's exactly how it goes, too. Well, you know, I think that we should have, how dare you, Hitler? No matter how calm you are, no matter how reasonable you are, when you say, look, I just want to be away from you people. Look at Jared Taylor. They still say, God damn it, Hitler, why do you want to gas people? Well, you can't deal with crazy. You can't bargain with crazy. You know? Now, the analysis produced by the university's National Consortium for the Study of Terrorism and Responses to Terrorism, or START, Center for short, gets picked up by the policymakers, academics, and journalists. Oh, in other words, this is the central policy from which the anti-white script is going to play off. The kulaks, you're the daily kulaks. I mean, nobody wants to be the kulaks. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's the whole Dolomor or whatever it is, where there's like, the numbers vary, but it's at least 5 million, and it could be up to 10 million Ukrainian peasants who were done to death. But it isn't just in Ukraine. It was generalized all the way up into Russia, up through into the Baltics, you know, the Pale Settlement, Poland. Why? Collectivization, man, vicious collectivization. You know, basically. The Soviets squeezed the countryside, took everything out, and by this I mean they took everything from these peasants and then threw them off in the land and let them die. So, you know, these are the sorts of people that did that sort of data research for the NKVD before they went out to these villages and surrounded them. So they know there should be this many this here, this many that there, that many this here, this many that there. Just saying. Now, to continue. It's difficult to put people in these neat buckets and say, there's the white supremacists over there and the anti-government ones over there. It doesn't work that neatly. 2 debates, 1 academic, 1 political. Oh, what's up? Oh, yeah, I got a text from you. Let me expand my phone. Yeah, okay, all right then. All right, yeah, no worries then. Bye, man. All right, bye. Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah. No. Oh, folks, how y'all doing today? Oh, you know, we're okay, I guess. We're gonna make do. We always do that. Though sometimes it's less desirable, I suppose, and fun than others. As it sits, tomorrow we shall have a birthday. But more important than our birthday, soon after there'll be the birthday of the indispensable country, you know, the great peacemaker, you know, right? You can tell I deride this nonsense. This is all imperialistic gibberish, right? Jingoistic nonsense, really. That means warmongering. It comes down to warmongering. Whenever the Anglo elite talk about peace, you better bet somebody's going to be getting bombed real soon. It's been like that for a long time. This isn't some new thing, you know. And so, you know, we sit here and we think, We think, too, that this day, this particular day, is another country's, you know, sort of national holiday, if you wish. And that would be Serbia. This is the Battle of Kosovo today. It's a big day for the Serbians. This is where they went into vassalage to the Turks. And again, they came out the other end free and probably stronger, more self-aware people on account of this. So, you know, 6 of one, half dozen the other, I suppose, huh? As it sits, Serbians have an identity, a real identity, something that, you know, matters to them. That's not trinkets. That's not trinkets. That's not some mystical George Washington that never existed since. Again, you can fill a teacup with what the average American knows about history before the Civil War, at best, right? They know a few really vague. Well, there were some guys, and they met at a place, and they said some things. There's nothing like times, dates, places, series of events, reasons why. Reasons why these guys did this. It just comes down to some taxes one day, and they decided to rebel. That's the first great myth. No. The taxes are kind of part of the reason. One of the main reasons they rebelled was the Currency Acts, which basically made it illegal for the colonies to sort of issue their own script, and this made them almost overnight poorer. Okay, and this was more than any other reason. The reasoning, the taxes were just sort of the slap in the face after the original the double slap, you know. Okay. Moreover, it wasn't the taxes themselves that were the issue, though there wasn't pleasant, and there was no desire for this kind of thing by the colonials for this to happen. It was who was going to be administering the tax. At that point in time, generally, in the colonies or overseas, when it says the crown shall, you should just insert East India Company. Okay? Again, the founders would have known this perfectly. And all the sailors in Boston would have known this. They all would have been on ships and went to the various ports of call that the East India Company basically controlled. And they would have seen how it was and said to themselves, oh, bullshit. Okay, do you see? I mean, these people were rapacious beyond, well, come on, they fought a war with the Chinese and made them accept opium. Come on now. That's the truth. It was the Opium Wars. You can look it up. It's not something. It isn't really the British government that did that so much as the East India Company did that more or less on its own. It's a sickening thing. Though by this time, the government had took over operations again. It's one of those. It's very hard to distinguish them. However, you would never, ever allow the EIC to tax you if you had any sense in your head. These people were fucking tyrants who had utterly depopulated Bengal and literally raped every single area they ever got their fingers on. Do you understand? Okay? They were tyrants of the first order, and you would never allow them to tax you. It's the Currency Acts and the fact that the taxes were going to be administered by the EIC that set it all off. Now, you're not supposed to know this. You're never supposed to. The East India Corporation is just supposed to be some faraway thing that. Oh, no. It was so deeply involved in British mercantilism, it's almost difficult to overconceive. Though, you know, there were limits, and it didn't control everything as some like umbrella corporation. No. But outside of Great Britain itself, in the colonies and in basically Canada and North America at the time, if it was sold and it was a produced item, almost inevitably they made some profit on it, even if it was just as a transport item. Like they're paid to ship it across the seas. Whether it went on their ships or someone else's ships, or they were quite involved in all this. Do you understand? Crown colonies, as such, prior to the takeover by the government, were administered directly by the East India Corporation, and you'll notice they're the exact sort of places where the people absolutely hate the British. It's amazing. It's crazy. It's almost like these cruel taskmasters produce bad results. That's why Americans rebelled, you see? You see, you're not supposed to they don't want you to know this, because basically New York has taken over where the EIC left off. You see? No, that's really how it works. And if you got to thinking about it, you'd say to yourself, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Whoa, 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 whoa. These third world people that rebel against us, could it be because we pinched their currency, the Bretton Woods agreements, right? Made our money worth money and theirs worth nothing. This is the Script Acts, this is the Currency Acts. And, oh my God, we have these wretched corporations that invade their countries and act just like the EIC did to everyone in the God's creation. Like a bunch of fucking tyrants. No, it couldn't be that. What am I thinking? You see, we're just not allowed to go down that path. Okay? At all. It's always supposed to be you see, these people had some nominal amount of food more, and they were fed more, so they should be grateful. What kind of materialist Malthusian bullshit is that? The fact is that it's utterly amazing to me that English materialists still can't get their fucking head around the idea that it's better to die free in a fucking savage's skin hut than to live a slave in the Paja's palace. Simple as that. It's just that simple. Okay? It's just that easy. It's that ridiculously simple. It's just that absolutely, boom. Better very little in peace than a great deal in strife. I don't know what to say. And if you don't think it's strifeful being pinned down by a bunch of usurer scum who are constantly trying to run you down and look for any excuse to undercut you, I don't know. Maybe you've never lived in an Anglo country. Because that's the general legal trajectory of all of them. It's that there's a wealth class, whether no matter what you want to call them. Probably a caste might be a better term. Since your social upbringing, race, none of this matters. All that matters is, do you have a large stack of money, and are you willing to use it to help cripple everyone else? If you are, you can be part of this caste. If you're not, they'll go to war with a knife against you, because they cannot have other rich people who don't play their game. If you don't, they all look bad. It's just that simple, So again, if you're extremely wealthy and you're willing to essentially make investments that help yourself long term, really is the only people. But what they do is they bind the public to you. Hey, you can be a perfect member of this caste. It centers on Semitic white males or Semitic pale males, or however you'd like to go about it. But do you know what I mean? It need not. It didn't always, and it won't always. This is a historical anomaly of the now. The fact is that before that it was British people. And most of the city, which is the center of usury in Great Britain, it's a city-state in the center of the Thames River. It has been a city-state for a very long time. Since the Middle Ages. Yeah. So, at any rate, most of them they're good Anglo stock. Some of them could go back to the Saxon Kingdom stock. What do you want me to say? That's reality. Oh, you can produce the random happenstance Jew out of the group, but I can produce thousands of other people easily. Well, folks, how y'all doing today? Oh, it's actually a better day than most. So, we've kind of been taking care of ourselves a little better. We finally got this thing on our face, this infection dealt with, or at least in check. Oh my God, that was a pain in the ass. Goddamn thing from hell there. And figured out what this is in our forehead finally. It's a rug burn. We had a seizure and did a head plant. Yeah. It's not good for your scalp, by the way, to, do a head plant on your head from direct standing, just as a little warning. So today, folks,
I've seen that the Senate impeachment trial is beginning. The culmination of this injustice, of this coup d'etat. Now, Democrats plan to challenge a resolution that would give each side 24 hours over just 2 days to present its case in the impeachment trial. Well, dang it. Because, why should they have to actually work for that $150,000, $170,000, $180,000 a year they make? Why? I mean, you have to work hard for that $7 an hour, but... So, the first full day of the Trump impeachment trial will be dominated by partisan fighting over the rules of the proceedings. Well, that's probably because I imagine that the Democrats are a bunch of niggity-nanity old women that think that they run everything straight up and down, like some kind of Stalinist-style dictatorship. Yeah. So, Senate Majority Leader Turtle McConnell released his resolution outlining the next steps, including a week of hours-long opening arguments on Monday. Okay, fine. The vote is a culmination of disagreement between Democrats and Republicans over what would constitute a fair trial. I think that for the Democrats, a fair trial means the president will be removed on bullshit charges that aren't even criminal. Because remember, the Budget and Management Office doesn't determine if something's criminal. The DOJ does. And the DOJ said no laws were broken. So, the Democrat-led House voted in December to impeach President Trump, but held off on transmitting the 2 articles of impeachment in an attempt to get more details on the trial rules, or in an attempt to influence what the Senate would do and dominate the Senate because they can't acknowledge that they're not in control of both houses of Congress. Yeah. See, they don't understand that they only control the House and not the Senate. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat from California, ultimately moved the process forward without the assurances Democrats sought, or she realized that she was making a political clown of herself by pretending this man was a massive threat and then holding off on stopping him. No. So McConnell lays out his plan for Senate impeachment trial procedure, because where McConnell goes, the way must be deep and broad. McConnell laid out his plan based on the President Bill Clinton impeachment in '99, with each side getting 24 hours. In a last-minute change, McConnell calls for the 24 hours to be divided over 3 days rather than 2 as he had originally proposed. That would address one Democratic complaint. Now listen to this complaint. That a 2-day limit would force the session to last long into the night. Because, when you have to work overtime to make ends meet, peasant, that's on you. But when they have to work late into the night, it's a goddamn travesty and an injustice and it's an oppression. Goddamn patriarchy. Since the trial days do not start until 1 p.m. Eastern. Well, I have an idea. Started at 8 a.m. Assholes. The same time most people start work at those factories busting their ass in the Rust Belt. How about that, Democrats? According to a spokesman for Senator Susan Collins, Rhino from Maine, Senator Collins and others raised concerns about the 24 hours of opening statements in 2 days and the omission of the House transcript in the record. Her position has been that the trial should follow the Clinton model as much as possible. She thinks these changes are a significant improvement. Well, the rhinos have spoken. Great. McConnell has altered the rules for admitting the House evidence into the record. It is now automatically part of the record, rather than senators having to vote to include it. So, in other words, anything that was said in the House by Schiff and all of his other little buddies, Nadler and the rest, that'll be included. But whatever was said by our guys, as opposed to all this stuff, that'll be a matter of debates and votes and, dissent. So whatever will hang the president's going to be included, and whatever would make him innocent, nope. Exculpatory evidence, out the window. Speaking on the Senate floor, McConnell called the resolution a fair roadmap that closely tracks past precedents. He also said he would move to table any Democratic amendments to the resolution. Okay, so basically he said, vote for this or I'm going to make it hard. You mean he actually acted like the majority leader in the Senate? No. But Minority Leader Chuck Shiggy Schumer Thug Life Shuma called the rules completely partisan. This is completely partisan, exactly like you were during the Clinton proceedings, Chuck. He said McConnell's resolution seemed designed by President Trump for President Trump, much like Clinton's resolutions were designed by Clinton for Clinton. In fact, his wife helped the Senate get it all together. Al Gore, Gore's wife, and Clinton's wife. I have some memory of all this. I was alive when this Clinton fiasco went down. The resolution also delineates how much time senators will get for written questions, and it postpones the debate and vote over whether to call witnesses until after both sides make their presentations and address questions. In other words, they're going to present their cases, ask the questions, the written questions they want to ask, and then vote on whether or not they get to call witnesses. Seems cool. I mean, there's no set rules. The Senate strictly controls it themselves. Democrats argue McConnell is collaborating with the White House to speed through the trial to acquit the president without all the available materials. Much like the House of Representatives collaborated with the deep state to speed through the impeachment process without even remotely considering the fact that they were attempting a coup in an illegal manner. Right, just like that. It's clear that McConnell's rules caused the trial to be rushed with as little evidence as possible in the dark of night. They do not want the evidence to come out. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said, the evidence for what? The evidence for what? There is no crime that's been committed. You can't have evidence when there's no crime. You sniveling bastard. You ignorant bastard Chuck. Now, Schumer plans to offer a series of amendments to the McConnell resolution, but unless he can peel off 4 Senate Republicans to vote with Democrat caucus, these efforts will fail. Are there 4 rhinos calling for rhinos, looking for 4 rhinos? Even Senate Republicans like Senator Mitt Romney of Utah, who said he was open to hearing from witnesses like former National Security Advisor John Bolton, said that he backed McConnell's resolution and that if attempts are made to vote on witnesses prior to opening arguments, I would oppose those efforts. But Mitch will be a rhino who will side with the Democrats after the opening arguments. Don't you worry about that. McConnell delivered his opening remarks ahead of a Senate floor debate on his resolution and the amendments offered by Democrats. The debate over the rules is expected to take up much of the day on Tuesday, and opening arguments for the House managers are not expected to start until Wednesday. Fine. So what I figure, folks, is about Friday I'll probably check back in with this and kind of collate what I've gotten to. So we'll go with what they say tomorrow, what's said after that, and then Friday we'll do a sort of a break team, okay? All right, so till then, folks, remember, all of this is a coup. It's all a standing attempt to overthrow the constitutional order, and it's all based around negating your vote. It's not about Donald Trump. It's about you being able to vote for people who aren't part of the one world cosmopolite world police mission nonsense and who want to actually take care of America, seal our border, and rebuild here. That's what it's about. It's about negating your vote. It's about making you, white America, middle America, red state America, politically impotent. Have a nice day, folks. Folks, how y'all doing today? Not so bad. I'm all right. So, let us talk about tending to the living. Yes, indeed, let us talk. Oh, written script today. Roman orator day today. Notice any glasses? Super professor today. Let's have a talk about other possibilities. Let's have a talk about better things. Let's have a talk about preservation, restoration, and rebuilding. Regeneration. Let's talk about chastity, virtue, glory, and renown as high ideals of honesty, duty, loyalty, and courageous action willingly undertook as the means to greater ends, than merely scampering around, yeah? Let's talk of common action to the common good as the best of ends. Let's talk about the clean, orderly future that awaits us after all this vigorous action. The happy and strong people of the world whom we shall wish to emulate, past, present, and future, and of course to reproduce and to continue. We don't just want to be voyeurs after all. Let us talk with pride of the beauty and light that our culture has and shall again project onto the dark world in our valiant effort to push back the vile world of savagery. Yes, Let us talk about tomorrow rather than yesterday or even today, ever forward, ever onward towards victory.
and we shall be victorious. Let us look to the future that awaits us at the end of a glorious period of struggle, contest, and bitterly contested intrusion upon our cultural sphere and living space by the dark hordes of the earth. This little camp of the saints shall pass. Let us talk about a certain, for now to be unnamed, nation-state, which is in the here and now, based upon safe families, secure in their homes, happy around hearths, upholding their heritage in tight-knit communities of like families. Life building upon life. Let us walk among these people mentally and talk about what we see. The family is based upon a happy mother-father bonding pair, which seem to make the basis for the well-founded home and tight-knit community in which life grows. The mother-father-child quantum, the basic family, if you will, the nuclear family, is the well from which spring many similar persons into interlocked families, which, being bound together by blood and way of life, grow, as it were, from a single fertilized egg, even, if you wish, yeah? Naturally into a unified and united people. Think mitochondrial Eve, except for we're still a subspecies. At any rate, this people we are discussing, having a living community of activity in which there exists, spiritually and mentally, a conscious commonality of language, manners, and morality. Yes, you have to be on board with each other. This people have a sense of a shared history going back to the first family, all the way back into the midst of hoar-haired time, that is, gray-haired time, yeah? An identity as old as the oldest rocks, but reborn in the face of every lawful citizen's child who is raised into this sacred and hallowed tradition. Yeah, think of the Hall of the Continual Flame, or whatnot, the Vestal Flame, yeah? These people have a common cultural core that grows with them and shapes while it is shaped by the living people themselves. That is, the culture and the people act on each other. A vital culture that exalts their values, mores, and needs openly, in satisfaction in itself. That is, a healthy culture is content not to be multi, it wants to be mono. The morals of the families and the whole people are based upon honest dealing one to the other, frugality and use of materials, dedication to one's family, kin, community, and labors, and mutual respect all to all. Each that gives respect is respected. Very simple, yes? The culture of this people reflects and gives life to these high ideals, affirming boldly and loudly the good and censuring the ill with no regard for quibbles. Society is only a large, well-behaved family, writ large in these people's estimation. These people acting as an economic whole are the vital living nation. The nation of its own will protects the land of the whole, the livelihood of the family, and the life of each loyal citizen who does his duty to the nation. Each citizen, as a sign of loyalty, serves in the capacity he is able, first his own family, then his local community, and then the whole polity, the whole nation, in that order. Very easy stuff. The nation is wise enough to see that the citizen must have food, shelter, and clothing for the family to whom he belongs, and that order requires they provide by their own labors. That is, you can't just hand people things. They have to be made to work for it, but they have to have the ability to feasibly get it by work. Just the way it sits. Thus the nation ensures to each family as a unit the means to have a livelihood, such that they may labor to provide for the family home. Since without this right, no other right has any meaning at all. Freedom starts with a family home free from want and able to honorably provide for themselves in this people's estimation. The final end of the nation is to ensure the people grow and produce enough material means to survive and overall are virile and strong. The nation is simply the household economy that keeps its own and cares for all its members writ large. This people as a political whole are the state under which they live. The state is bound to the law, seeks to keep order, and as far as humanly possible seeks to ensure to each the justice rightfully due to them. The final end of the state is to ensure the people remain sovereign over their own land and can keep their own laws and way of life. The state is simply the household as a political unit writ large. The nation-state as such, thus, is merely the combined familial unit writ large among these wise, virile, healthy, and stable people. That's everything is just an extension of family units. Anything else is artificial, stilted, and simply flat out wrong. The nation-state has certain values upon which it is based and which act as its strong walls. These are loyalty, duty, honor, and courage. These values apply to all. Every citizen does their duty inside the family,
community, and commonality with honor and courage. Or they're expelled from the citizenship. Yeah, it's that easy. You ask if you want to be a coward, you can go live on the rocks like the cowards do. This acts as a mental, spiritual wall that keeps out enemies and allows for a united defense against the attacks of those enemies that do come to harm the common good. Enemies both inside and out by that means. It keeps them on a common page and gives them a common frame of reference from which to base judgments and to understand one to the other. These people have a truly popular polity. This popular polity has accepted the cold logic of the needs pyramid as their foundational sound logic. It is, in short, the reality that each citizen has material needs as regard food, clothing, and shelter minimally, and thus that each must be allowed the right to labor to ensure these needs for society to be stable. We won't have beggars. This popular polity has accepted and mastered class by cooperating the higher and lower to all's advantage. They have had the wisdom to see that nature has divided abilities and rewards, but that it is best if all give a bit and work together for everyone, yeah? Thus class has given way to the common good. Much like on a ship, the officers simply have to pitch in with the crew, or they all go to the bottom with Davy. The people live with the knowledge that politics, economics, and society are tied together, that the family unit as the common source of origin, as the seed from which all the splendor of their existence springs. This people have created all this by purposeful design as veritable modern Spartans. They have by will set aside the hedonism of the current age for a true and faithful people state in which home, commonality, hearth, culture, heritage, history are the bases for well-lived lives under their own order, law, and sovereign will. All this with the family units as a secure and safe nuclei that lay out the template for the rest of the construction around them. The seed that sprouts into the nation-state tree when watered by tradition and cared for with loving devotion. The act of saving and strengthening the family has brought this people around from being death-based to being life-affirming. This people thus have order inside and keep chaos out, and because of this cultural cell wall, they have a living community of common interests. A community which has life beyond the mere material days. Anyway. I lost that, didn't I? Oh, folks, how y'all doing today? Oh, we're not so bad. We're, I guess, as good as it gets. I noticed that the country club GOP sorts they're finally up in arms. I guess the last little invasion force, climbing fences and walls and, waving around flags and free soil and all this other nonsense. They had, just all sorts of weird banners. That wasn't good enough. But this one's got them freaked out. There's danger coming, finally, you see, for them, personally, in their own quarters and districts. They're afraid of it. So, of course, we need to do something right now. I kind of agree with that. On the other hand, it would have been nice if they'd have started doing this when, they started importing all these boat people and such back in the 70s, yeah. I'm just going to say, I'm going to point that out. Of course, they weren't worried about these boat people going up to their country club and wrecking it. They're worried about these Guatemalans and generally these Central American invaders. I guess they should have paid white man wages for that lawn to get mowed, huh? They should have paid white man wages to get those hedges trimmed, huh? And then we wouldn't have this problem if they weren't cheap carpetbaggers. And yes, that exact GOP cast, them and the, what I call the caviar Democrats, the caviar socialists, they're the employer class in the United States. What can I say? It's just that's the way it is. It's not some assumption. It's largely going to be a fact. And if they would have paid proper wages, we wouldn't have all these boat people, and we wouldn't have all these third world feuds, and we wouldn't have people coming to our border like this, trying to storm their way in so they can get in on the gives. See, because I'd like to make this clear, that what they're doing is a sleight of hand. Because on the one hand, they are paying the low wage, but on the other hand, most of these people's women and children qualify for welfare.
Whereas if whites are an actual married family and they're receiving this wage, they wouldn't qualify, you see. Well, these Central Americans, they don't have any paperwork for anything. Some of them don't even know what village they were born in, for God's sakes. Okay? Just like that. All right? Or the exact day of their birth in some case. It's ridiculous. Now, yeah, or at least they claim this. And no, that's perfectly okay. Imagine. Now, anyhow, so in reality, what's happening is I think there's 5 tax brackets now. Whatever, it's 4, whatever. The top bracket, it skates. They have the political influence to buy their way out of it. The next 2 pay the freight, and then the bottom 3, they don't make enough to even really shake for much. I mean, they're so broke, even the mafia wouldn't shake them dry, you know? Okay? These middle tax brackets, pay for all of this. Sorry about that. It's my alarm clock. Gets you right out of bed if you're still sleeping at this hour, I promise you. And anyhow, these middle tax brackets pay for everything, you know? Everything. And they shoulder the burden so that the top bracket, who are, by and large, the employers, don't have to pay as much wages up front. Because they're still paying the social services. You're paying the food stamps, the state medical, and, you know, so forth, right? For these so-called free clinics, they're not really free. I mean, they are funded, but you understand, and whatnots. Okay, that's just how it is. You're paying for, in time, you'll be paying for subsidized housing, and you see. So, you know, you could have just paid up front, paid a guy this up front, and not had all these social problems. But instead, you wanted to do it on the sly. So now you have this huge bureaucracy that can't use the money effectively. This huge supply of people who hate you, right? And your only natural allies are the exact people that you carpetbagged on for the wages to bring these people that hate them and you, and that you've made them, us poor whites, live with these wage breaker scabs. Do you understand how you've done yourself dirty here at all? Is there any recognition that you should have just paid white man wages? It seems that would have been the whole problem could have been solved if you hadn't tried to carpetbag everybody down to the level of Guatemala or Honduras or northern Brazil or, you know, Vietnam. Or how low can we go? You know? I mean, hey, when white people get down to the level of Congo, will the market be totally efficient then? You know? And why is it that there's a cap on wages? Wages are bad when they get too high, but profits are good, no matter how high they go. Do profits not get spent back into the economy and cause inflation too? Or is it only workers' wages that do this? And if so, why? What's the exact rationale for that? Because that sounds like some self-serving bullshit to me. Okay? Big time. You know, since in theory, any increased amount of money being bid into any system should drive the bidding up over time. It's natural, it's normal, right? Why would it only be? Because that's what the, you know, inflation's claimed to be, is that there's too much money going for too little items. Well, why is it profits never counted into this? Why is it dividend checks and such never counted into that? Why is it only workers' wages? Why is it every time that there's a 1% or 2% or 3% increase, got to have those interest rates up to suck it right back out of the peasants, eh? Hey? Hey? Oh, I see. Because silly me, profits don't cause inflation. And if we just allowed workers' wages to grow up, we wouldn't need the scab labor no more. If we stopped importing the scab labor, we'd stop having this social unrest on the streets. Just like if we stopped enabling, say, BLM types, we'd stop having that chaos on the streets, or Antifa too. Oh my God. So if we stopped enabling lawlessness and started doing the right thing, that is actually paying people, white people, wages in a white country, why, my oh my, we could almost have Mayberry back. Since you do know that anything like a prosperous country is based on the very lowest person being at least able to feed, house, and clothe themselves, right? These are the three things that prisons and armies can do. Armies, prisons, and monasteries can accomplish this. Any government or employer that can't accomplish this, you're a failure. Just throw yourself out the window like Philip. And any prattle about you don't owe, shut your mouth. If you're using someone else's time, you punk, you owe them enough to eat, be clothed, and be housed. If you're using 40 hours a week of their time and you don't pay enough to do that, you're a rip-off little punk. And you're basically working them to death for your own enrichment, like a Roman slave driver. Okay? That's all you are. All your self-serving libertarian prattle. Okay? And I promise you, when it's your face that's stinging and the blood's coming out of your mouth, it's a valid argument, boy. Okay? Molyneux doesn't know what he's talking about, because Molyneux's never actually been in the real world. Okay? His idea of the real world is some sort of debate club. My idea of the real world is when you're working down in the tree farm, putting wrap on them to the point where one time I had big open wounds on my hands. That was for less than minimum wages now. Nobody should have to work like that for that type of peanuts. You just shouldn't have to. There's no reason you should have to work a glormolen fucking peasant in the United States. And save that Calvinist bullshit. You can throw him right out the window too. I don't listen to John Knox or John Calvin. They're both heretics. Okay? So, the fact is God didn't arrange this. God sure as hell didn't say, hey, let's put a bunch of the murderers of my son in charge of the economy and media and academics in this country, and then have them slowly twist the economy to where it works against the people of the country, and we can justify importing their replacements and destroying them. God didn't do that. The Antichrist forces did that. Okay, you need to keep the team straight. Let's see. Well, with that, folks, I'm going to get going. Have a nice morning. Oh, folks, how y'all doing today? You know, folks, impeachment. It's an American process, and the other countries have it too, but whereby we remove federal officers, primarily the president, though you can remove Supreme Court justices, federal judges, and so forth. Anybody who's appointed, you can remove this way if that was your goal, right? It's very seldom successful, but you could, in theory. Okay? It has been done a few times. Never against the president, a sitting president, though. Never been successful, you see. It's the impeachment part works. That is, they can get an article of impeachment, a bill of impeachment, passed out of the House, but the Senate just never comes through. Yeah. Right. It's almost like there are less people in the Senate, and it's easier to bribe your way to get what you want. Just saying, right? Oh, the whole system works on bribes. I'm not going to say it. They're not donations, they're bribes. Right, they're influence, period. Be the same as any union giving money to the mafia. It's no different at all. It's no different anyway. They're trying to influence the actions. That's it. That's all. No. So you see, fretting about impeachment, who cares? It isn't going to happen. It is not going to happen. Do you understand? It's just that simple. Now, on the other hand, what is going to happen is America's going to continue its slide into the third world. Why? Well, there's a lot of reasons, I guess, but the simplest two come down to corruption, which was not dealt with after Trump was elected. Remember, lock her up, which of course really meant deal with systemic corruption. It had nothing to do with Hillary personally. That's lowbrow nonsense. It had to do, with corruption. Corruption was the main essence behind it. Pretending it was all Hillary. Yeah, okay, well, that's maybe for really stupid people it was all Hillary. For the rest of us, no, not so much. Okay? Now, corruption and the fact that our borders are wide open. All the time, every time, all day, every day. Again, they can pretend that catch numbers are up and this and that, but there's still millions of illegal crossings happening every year. Okay? Big deal. Big deal. Okay? I mean, you know, when you actually try to solve a problem, you will do better. However, the way we're trying to solve it's not practical. We're taking third world people who could live in our garbage dumps comfortably, okay, putting them into a steel building with a concrete floor and blankets, and expecting that to be a punishment to them. There's just no sense to this. Do you understand? Okay? Of course they're not going to be upset. They're going to get 3 meals a day. You know, it'll be fairly warm in there and so forth, you know. The medical care and all the rest. So, why would they be afraid of this? Do you see? Moreover, since we normally don't detain these people very long, of course they don't care. Of course they're not, you know, afraid of our legal system. Well, again, if you were born in some slum of San Salvador, which is it's the capital city of El Salvador, you know, an American prison is like a luxury hotel by comparison, and that includes the violence level. Do you see? So, you ain't going to be able to stop them this way. You have to physically prevent them from crossing the border. Easiest way? Use troops. Don't accept their plea for amnesty. Detain them and escort them back into Mexico. If Mexico bitches, tell them we'll start a war against them. They'll punk. Immediately they'll punk. Since they know far better than most that we could just ground pound them. Ground pound them, particularly if we just decided not to care about humanitarianism. We could just carpet bomb all those little slums outside of Mexico City and drive those people right into Mexico City and have it torched to the ground in less than a week. Do you understand? Oh, and I would. Do you understand? I believe in killing the enemy, not in doing what is moral. You kill the fucking enemy. That's how you win. You kill them. If their head's chopped off, you've won. It's really simple stuff. But Americans are too stupid to know all this, and so, of course, we don't use the air power anything like effectively. No, 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 no. No, no. But again, Mexico doesn't have to be asked. They're our bitch, and they'll do what they're told. If they don't, it's as simple as we'll drop the currency that you have of ours. That is, we'll just drop your debt, just drop you like a hot rock and let you fucking implode. And yes, we can do that. Their pesos tied to our dollar. We can yank them around however we'd like. We don't have to ask them for anything. Simply can tell them how it's going to be. We're going to escort your citizens and these other Hispanic nationals back to the nearest Mexican town or city, and they're going to stay there. If they try to cross the border again, we'll fucking shoot them. End of fucking discussion. See how simple that is? I mean, a minefield is a far more effective fence or barrier than any barrier. Yeah. You never quite know where it's at. Okay. Puts fear into them. Puts fear into them. You see? Oh, I don't care about their human rights. They don't have a human right to invade my country. They can stay in their own country. It's as simple as that. Now, you see? They have no human right to be here. End of story. And yes, there are people who are illegal. Correct. You've got it. Yeah. Nobody's illegal. Yeah. Actually, if you're crossing the border in the middle of the desert illegally, oh, sorry about that. Yeah, you are definitely here illegally. And you are an illegal person who should be detained and, yeah, sent back to the country you came from. I mean, I don't really see the problem with any of this. The only real issue I can see with it is that the GOP is completely cucked out to the media, and the media are completely subservient to the leftist worldview, but it's not strictly a communist worldview. It's some weird hybrid, because communists were never about mass immigration, that's for sure. You don't really hear about that much with people mass migrating into Romania or something, you know. You just don't hear about this. If anything, it's the other way. You know? If anything, it's the other way. So what you're really looking at, some kind of leftist, globalist sort of hybrid, you know. And of course, we're bringing in nominally for diversity. But no, that isn't why we bring in third worlders. We bring them in because of low wages. We bring them in because they're societal scabs. They'll break down America so the leftists don't have to actually deal with a unified nation, and they can deal with a slave population, effectively a serf population of low IQ third worlders. That's exactly what they want. They want a serf population of low IQ third worlders. What can I say? Why? Don't ask me, because you cannot run a modern economy with people with 75 and 60 IQ. It can't be done. It cannot be done. Okay? You look any place in Africa, almost everything that you see that's a running industrial enterprise is either ran by European specialists or Chinese specialists. Almost everything. Voila. Weird, huh? It's like one of the peoples here doesn't have the technical ability or the mental heights to make this work. I'm gonna have to go with your equality nonsense is an utter fucking lie. Okay. Africa's not poor because Europeans brought resources out of there. That's a lie. The British actually built up the areas that they colonized. They're far advanced compared to what they would have been in every way. In every way. Hello. What's going on? Hello, folks. How y'all doing today? Oh, you know, we're 100%, I guess. As 100% as you can be. I mean, knowing that people are plotting on you. Oh, and I know it's not a supposition, you see. How? Oh, motive. Well, there's a motive, there will always be a plot. $250,000 in property value. People who want to get money before owners kick bucket so that they don't have to go through the what's that called? Anyway, they won't have to get it out of an estate. That's what they want, right? So it's like, yeah. So I'm so stupid, I'm supposed to not know this. Now, of course, I saw right through it, right from the beginning. I mean, right from the beginning, I was like, The entire purpose of all of this moral drama is to soften you up so that they can get at the meat. Because remember, the actual owner hasn't called me with any of this. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, no, no. You know? It's always some nonsense, you know? It's always some nonsense. I guess that's what it's like being around grubby peasants. There's no other word for it. It's one of the reasons I can't stand money grubbers at all. And for truth, I can't honestly say that I wouldn't undercut me for $250K either. You know, right? Especially if I was going to receive the lion's share of that money. Right. Correct. So you see. my day. Yeah, the fact of the matter is that, like I say, it's totally easy to see through all this. Oh, well, gee, we want you to be happy, and no, you fuckers do not. Stop with the lies. Just stop with the lies. I mean, because if that was the case, then they'd quit fucking with my shit. Now, you see, like I say, I totally see through it. It comes right down to my little goofy ass is in the way of fucking a large profit for fucking several people. And those people are going to, well, do what's necessary to get their money. You see? Yeah. It's what it is. It's how it works. You know? It's funny, these people, how do you know you'll be dead in this? It's like, I don't want to be alive in 30 fucking years. Do you understand? I have no interest in being alive at 75, geezered, crippled. No way. No, I won't though. I just can't do it. Again, for a single man, there's no reason to be alive at that age. There is nothing. There literally is nothing. Nothing to be alive at that age for. If you're single, then there's nothing after you. There's nothing to be alive for. Like nothing. So, why? You know? Like I say, I don't see any reason. I don't see any reason to cling to this place. None. Never had any good results. It don't matter. This place is going downhill at any rate. It wouldn't have lasted another 2 years at anyhow. You know. I mean, that's really the truth. You know. But, oh well. sucks. There's just heating, cooling, it's no good, and so forth. I mean, it works, but just barely. There's just 1,000 little things, you know. Frankly, hot water tanks fucked. Hot water tanks fucked. Right? So there's gotta be something. Fuck no, I ain't in the mood, man. There's no way. It just totally bring me down to even be there. Look, I don't like the place. I have to tell you. No, I've actually been there more than any of you by myself, and I can say I honestly don't like it, fucking whether or not the people there or not. Hello, folks. How y'all doing today? Well, you know, folks, you know the key thing is, you know, I've never told any of you to be a blind, dumb mutt, yeah? There's no reason to blindly serve anyone at all, yeah? There's loyalty goes both ways, always. There's some kind of mutual component. I'm not saying equality. No, equality is chaos. But there's still some kind of, you know, yeah. When people start talking about you have a loyalty to, like, you know, seriously demote your life so that others can play games. That's no loyalty at all. What they mean is that you become a liability and they're trying to work around behind your back. I have an uncle like that. He's a cunning. It's funny though. Months I've seen this little plot of his coming. Yes, it's obvious to me. You've even seen the truck that he's got you parked out here before taking pictures. It's like, But I didn't quite suspect he was enough of a coward that he'd need a policeman. Oh yeah, policeman shows up, just parks on the side of the road where you can see wide angle what's going on here. About a minute and a half after they get here. Same cop that my uncle knows from school. What a punk fucking little bitch. But then of course, see though, I don't know. I never would want to, I would never carpetbag somebody out of a place to live. Like this low-life motherfucker's trying to do. It ain't even his to sell. You understand? Well, he's gonna help his mother. He's trying to get money for his own low-life punk-ass self. Okay? And if he does, it won't matter. Just, I'm gonna cut out his fucking liver. It's that easy. You don't get to steal where I stay and then play like you're my fucking kin. You make me homeless, I kill you. I wouldn't make any of my kin homeless. Understand that? I don't like most of them, but I still would never steal their home. Okay? I'm not a bitch. And basically, my uncle doesn't require the money, and my grandparents do not require the money at all. Neither does my mother, who's the silent partner of this little trade. Though she tries, well, try to understand your uncle's point. It's like, try to understand you're going to get money too. Because if he was getting money and you weren't, then you'd be all pissy. But you're all calm, meaning you want him to get the money because you're going to get some yourself. You dumb twat. You don't think I can't see through you. You see, my mother's more vicious than I am. She plays at being Betty Crocker, but she's more of a vicious psychopath than I am. Oh, her game is, how do you think I feel? Very little other than the will to dominate. Oh, did it hurt your feels? You don't get to play that shit with me, woman. So, you know, and my uncle is a coward, as you can see.
How long do you think they're going to do well? Oh, they think that I have too much. I don't know. Where they were the ones that got to make these decisions. You know what I'm trying to say? My moral lessers. Of let's see. If my parents, I've never given a baby barbiturates for 6 fucking years, from 0 to 6, yeah, and then gaslighted them about doing it because they won't remember anyway. They're a dumb mook. Except for I'm not. I'm actually a fucking more evolved being than their interdimension working class asses could ever be. Yeah. I've always known they were lying to me. They finally admitted it. Oh, this and this and this, and it's like, and that would require constant drugging, which would be exactly what I figured. You know, it gets to being like, so I'm lying because I didn't use the correct parlance. You know why I don't like PC and sport games? Yeah, my parents are the first people who played these games with me. Oh yeah, serious loads of these games. Like, so I know something was different here to there. You know what I mean, right? And I mean, I'm trying to say it as neutral as possible, but it's obvious. It's like dim, low cognition, very little going on, like just not like real memories. Then the type of memories, like here, like what I remember from this, right? Well, see, nothing's different, because, the best, and it's like, nothing's the best, or this is all substandard low shit even now. This is barely just at the second level world of fucking South America. It'd be like the best in Africa, but, we don't live in fucking Africa. You know, right? Even at this time I was smart enough to know this, and I knew that this was moral grandstanding, though I wouldn't use those words, to cover an evasion, you understand? So, what did this tell me? Well, that I was correct, but I wasn't allowed to talk about it because it was some bad thing. Now, what it comes down to is it's a moral failing, I guess, but not on my part. I mean, I can't accept it any more than I have accepted it. You know what I mean? You have to live with the negatives of it, you know. I do have to live with them. It's not some moral choice I get, you know. I just do have to live with them. As in, yeah, I could fall right now, twitch, minute, 2, 3, 5, and if I get back up and I'm alive, I have to live with it no matter what it is. I can have the other experience is actually worse. It leaves me kind of dumb. But then I either come back or I don't, you know. And there's no guarantee of nothing. But hey, no stresses, no worries. Because people who have never really had any struggles are going to tell me all about accepting shit. Like Job, like they know about fucking Job. You know? I know about Job. Okay? You know, and from Job's point of view, he's kicking it back. He's minding his shit, and one day just a whirlwind comes and destroys everything. Yeah? Okay? Very much at about 6 years old, there's my world. Just one day, wham! There's like all this horrible memory of sound and color that I guess was fuzzed out before is what I'm going to guess, right? You know, that was just barely functional. And, yeah. And because of this, I mean, you know, imagine, you know, very low input, like world of just bizarrities, right? Almost like platonic world of forms, you know, to like full live action at 6 years old with no social context because you haven't really been alive this time. You've merely been breathing and functional, but not actually learning the things humans learn to socially interact. Picture that. Right? It took me a long time to learn to move my face while I talked. It took me a long time to... I was once very much more weird than I am now. If you think that I'm off now, no, I was very off. I mean, very off at one age, right? Say 7, 8, 9, you know? At 18, there's no way we could even have these conversations. It isn't going to lack the intelligence, the ability to patiently marshal my thoughts in anything like, you know, rational form would not have been possible in this matters because you know, there was no ability to separate from it. You know what I'm trying to say? It was too pressing still. You know what I'm trying to say? It was like a constant ambush situation. You know, I don't know if you know what I'm saying, but this is like every time I would encounter my own people, it would be some fucking rumble. So by the time it came to prison, it was like, let's do this. You know what I'm saying? You get it? I mean, a biker environment was better for me. A fucking chemical lab was better for me because there is no moral opprobrium. They can't play the ear. You just crack them across the fucking head with a 9-iron and you're victorious over the motherfucker. There it is. Fuck the moral lecture. There it is. Bing, bing. You know what I mean? Now, can you imagine after years of being told you're a liar and a punk and this and that? You're going to be pretty good at these particular things, you know? That's just how it sits. Because you have tons of bottled up, like, you know you're not lying. You can't prove it because they don't want to hear this. And if they did want to hear it, it wouldn't matter because, you know, imagine, okay, one of the reasons I actually started reading a lot was trying to gain words, ideas. Because, you see, you know would always be the answer. Anything I had to ask, well, you already know. Oh, I do, huh? So you're assuming that because you learned this at a certain age, I did, because somehow, why don't you just try spelling it out in fucking words rather than playing these little riddles? But I've come to learn that most of the things that I wanted to know, they're too stupid to actually know the answers to at any rate. They're not self-analytical people. They can't, you know, like, imagine being arrogant enough to think that you know what a cognitive issue is to the point where you don't even need to read the medical fucking data to think you're competent to apply the fucking narcotics for the fucking issue. Imagine that kind of arrogance. Then being stupid enough to apply the narcotics for way longer than you should ever do, even with a doctor's supervision, and not understand how the person you applied these to could possibly be fucked up at all from such an experience. But it only gets better with going full loop and perpetuating. And how do you think I feel about this? Like the person who's fucking guilty of all the moral failings is how you should feel. Yeah. You see, this is ridiculous. Parent does shit that fucks up child's fucking life. Parent is responsible. Parent does contrition. It isn't. Child says, oh, it's great, Mom. It's cool you could be a complete cunt to me. Try to dominate my entire life. Fuck up anything like trust in other people I have by your constant lies. But I guess the one thing I'm good should be grateful to is I learned how to read through girls' bullshit from you excellently. Yeah, there is that. Oh, no broad ever can lie to my face. No way. Vicious like a pimp like that. Right? No way. I can see right through it all the time. So, folks, how y'all doing today? Oh, you know, popular as ever here. Now, generally, if any of my family have any interest in me, I'm always leery of them. Oh, my direct kin, as like my mother, father, uncles, I could die. They would never miss me again. A few of my nephews and nieces and cousins like me, but they don't. They don't like me at all. For one, I'm smart enough I can see right through the lies they've been telling me since I was a child. I see right through it. It's like you're inventing a lie to try to pawn off your failings on me, and it's as simple as it gets. You're inventing a lie to pawn off your failings on me. You see how easy this is? And they don't like that at all. Well, look, it's like this. Either I had a real problem as a child, you know, like a problem. And it required medications, you know, and then I needed those from the time I was a baby till I was 7 when they just decided they were just going to stop administering these because, oh, I don't know. Oh, school would have made that difficult. You can't be unnormal in school, you know what I mean? Yeah, that was real fun. And just picture having epilepsy in a regular classroom. What fun. Oh, I couldn't go to any type of other school. No. I had to be just like everyone else. Even though I allegedly required drugs to say that, no, I'm not just like everyone else. But after I didn't need those, I was just fine. I was like everyone else. They'd say that, you're just fine. I'm like, you're lying. You understand? I told them that to their face. As a child, I was honest enough to say, you're lying. Literally, you're making this shit up. Okay? Now, I didn't understand the full basis of it, but I knew they were lying. I can see right through a lie, easily, especially from these 80 IQ idiots. My people are nowhere near as intelligent as me. They're like, I am a fluke. Okay? Literally, like the only person probably in my whole family line over 120 IQ. Do you understand? Literally. Don't know how, don't know why. What I do know is that I can see right through their childish bullshit. So like, if they say they care about me, no. They care about something that they can get out from under me. And they're trying to soften me up to get me to go left or right as suits them. That's all it comes down to. They don't care about me. I could not eat for a month. I could literally have a stroke tonight. That's fine. That's okay. You're okay.
But how can we get that stuff out from under you? Okay? I never listen to that kind of stupid, oh, I care about you. No, you don't. Okay? Well, I mean, you want me to start off as a child? I can go all the way back to the time I ran around with a broken arm for a week. Nobody even noticed because I hit it. What do you want me to say? I wasn't going to give up my hiding spot where these fuckheads couldn't get at me. For nothing. If I'd had to lose the arm, I'd have lost the arm. It's that easy. It's that simple. I resolved right in the hiding spot itself that if my arm being broke by this whole thing was the necessary price of maintaining this place, so be it. Do you understand? And I did realize that a break like that could cause an amputation at that age. I was much smarter than them even then. Okay? Right. You know, I was just dingy, you know? I mean, you know, cognitive issues. Let's go to regular school. You know how much fun that is? Oh, the retard. Yeah, that's a real good time. That's a real blast. You know? Thanks, Mom. Good looking out, bitch. Couldn't just went to regular school, like, you know, for fucking kids that have, like, disabilities and shit. No. Fuck that. You know? And they wonder why I dislike them. I mean, gee, I don't know. If the pills were working, then taking me off them just so I could be in your regular school. Because, see, they always thought I was going to go to college and make them all rich. If I'd went to college and become rich, I never would have given them a fucking penny. They made me go hungry and did fucked up things constantly in their little moralistic world. They can fuck off. At most, I'd give them a blanket and a little cup of milk. There you go. Run away. You get nothing else. The state can pay for you to die in poverty. It's good enough for me. It'll be good enough for them. As they'll do to others is what they're going to get back. Do you understand? So, like, for instance, if my parents went bankrupt, I'd perfectly be willing to direct them right to the trailer park next door. They think it's cool that anyone else should live there. You understand? Why not them? Okay? So my dad popped me in the mouth one time. I should have let him go down for the second degree assault. That's a strike and a felony. His little federal job, that went away. He'd be working at minimum wage flipping burgers now. Wouldn't be quite so high and mighty, would he be? Oh, and he'd be a permanent criminal, just like me. From that one little mistake. Mr. Pious. You know? Again, I guess maybe he finally got in his mind. I don't have to shut up when he says, and he can't break my jaw, so he can fuck off. Okay? I'm 45 years old, and I'll run my mouth at him all I like, because frankly, the motherfucker's had it coming for a long time. Okay? Him and my mom are selfish, one-way pieces of shit. They think that we own this little piece of land. No, you're not Louis the 14th. You understand? You're a property owner. You are beholden to the same basic laws as everyone else. And moreover, and get this, as soon as anyone pays you for the privilege of being on your property, you don't strictly get to run their day anymore, bitch. Sorry. Just that way. Yeah. Sorry. They never can get that in their mind. They think that you should have to pay and be 5 years old. Like, no. No, I'm not paying you to listen to you, bitch. Shut the fuck up or don't get your money. Simple as that. Shut up or you don't get money. You know what I mean? I don't pay bitches to bitch at me. I won't pay any bitch to bitch at me. Thank you, though. Again, I don't give a fuck if it's my own mother. That's the key thing. This is where any of you other broads, if you think you're getting across by being some yak, I'll just slap your face right in. If you want anything from me, the most direct way is to ask honestly for what you want and why. If you ask honestly, and just say, I would like this because, I'll think about it. And most often, yeah, sure, it seems, it can be done. It can be done. But yak, I'll just roll and go to bed. I won't do shit for you. Okay? Except for eventually you'll piss me off and you'll get the back of my hand. Okay? I don't listen to yakking at all. I don't listen to bitching. I don't listen to 80 IQ moralistic harping. Listen to enough of that. Hello, folks. How y'all doing today? Oh, we're clinging in there by our fingernails. We're clinging in there by our fingernails. You know, it gets so old. It gets so old with people trying to cheer me up constantly. It's like, it would cheer me up more than probably anything. Noise, besides myself in this household. Yeah, there it is. Right, right. Simple as that. Card games and dice, whatever. That's what would cheer me up. You know. No stupid ass fucking movies or these people they just don't understand me at all. They have no interest in even trying. It's like I'm not interested in going and doing any fucking thing with any of you, frankly. I mean, let's be real. I don't have fun around you people. I'm sorry. Fuck, right? I mean, I try to be nice about it, but it just comes a point where it's like, no, but thank you. Just want to be left alone. Fact is, people, is I'm so fucking tired that I don't know up from down right now. But one thing I definitely know for certain, for 100%, is that there's absolutely no way that I'm just going to, like, go back to being under control, you know what I mean? And not self-control, other person control. No, no. It makes it worse on you. It does. It makes it worse on you. Like, your brain just, my mind just does evil tricks on itself. The fact of the matter is that, and let's be realistic about it, is loneliness you can deal with, to a certain point. But being fucked around and lonely, no. No. No way. Oh, there'll be people there for you. There'll be people. Yeah, maybe on my birthday or something, but even then. There are two others of us with the same birthday. If it was just my birthday, it would be very minimal. Maybe 4 or 5 people most. So, do you see? That's just the truth. Right? My family members are adverse to these kinds of simple, direct truths. I don't know why. They seem to cause them great distress, right? But do what we see. Life is what life is, and as it sits, I'm not feeling particularly, I'm not gonna say happy, but I'm gonna say, feeling like I'm coming out on top on these, Okay. Again, you'll see it immediately if I have to dwell with these people. You'll notice it immediately. It'll just be immediate sadness, immediate, anger, and do mean immediate, like almost instantaneous, you know. It's because of, it's a lot of things, I guess. It's learned stimuli to learned response, you know, partially, but also, you know, they have a certain way of behaving, and it's simply not acceptable to me. That it is. You know, think what you like about that, but, you know. It's intolerable, you know. The fact of the matter is that all of this situation is double plus on good, you know. It's true. It's fucking true. I'll have stupid people fucking constantly up in my business. I don't mean mildly, I mean constantly. Like thinking they're running things, you know. Like, no. No. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, I won't listen to people's silly political fucking doctrines as some kind of dogmas. No, it ain't happening. You know, right? But that's, you know, that's what it'll wind up to, and it's ridiculous. It don't matter. Yeah, gee, why didn't I ever think of that? Oh, folks, how y'all doing today? Oh, I've been a lot better in my life, to be honest, right? That's for true. Though I have been a lot worse, too. Right? So, there was someone who wanted to play the old fishing game. Who am I? Oh, boy. Oh, boy, boy, boy. Okay, today's a tale. I'll go for a tale. Why not? I can do anything once, you know. Who am I? Nobody. Literally nobody. I was born in the middle of nowhere. Frankly, the only actual industry anywhere near here is a shipyard. There's no mining left, no petroleum, there's nothing. It's the middle of nowhere. It's the middle of nothing. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have resources, you may as well not exist. Let me see. I was born to stagflation, 1973. Jimmy Carter, you know. Oh, that's Nixon, actually. That's Nixon. That was Nixon that was still president then, but, you know. At any rate, and, you know, I just lived through standard rural issue poor, except for, well, I mean, I don't want to be cruel about it, but my people are much more loud and violent than most other people. Much more so, right? Now, take that as you will, but I'm one of the more calm units of them, actually, really, you know, in the sense that I don't, like, seek out other people to fuck with, you know. They do, all the time. They always have to have somebody to peck down on. They're like chickens like that, you know. It was my grandfather, Dick, Richard Ayres is his name, until he died. You know, he's dead and they'll find a new victim, don't worry. They think they're going to get me, but not happening. Seriously. That last bit? You think I'm kidding? Yeah. I can't prove, you know. You can never prove much. But I'll tell you what. Here I am, July 4th. I'm sitting there. I see this. This is my eyes, you know. Kitchen, people, bar. It's about 5 feet out this way from me, you know. About 2.5 feet out this way. And there's a hallway out here, okay? And, you know, my grandpa's walked down. He's got a walker. And they're like, oh, here's the piss smell. I'm like, what are you fucking on about? You know? Here's the piss smell. Seriously. Now you know. You call me whatever you like, but I'm not enough of a scumbag to make fun of an old man for an issue that these women, these kvetching harpy twats, should have fixed. It's their job to deal with the camp hygiene. Right? How do you say? Is that cruel? Is that unfriendly? Yeah, it is. Exceptionally. But that's where I'm from. That's a little taste of what it's really like down in the lower working classes. Oh, they think they've made so good, but they're proles. They're proles, real proles. I'm poor. They're a prole. You understand the difference? When I die, there'll be a prayer on my lips. If I know my heart's going to pop, I can pop at least some kind of remote prayer. They don't even, they have no understanding. You understand? None. Zero. Not only the atheists, but they bought into the whole, knogball, gambling, money, and everything's, So, they like Cigar Island, you know? Can I say? They'll all be donkeys one day, I imagine. I'll be dead, but they'll be donkey. So, you see? I don't have to insult dying old men to make myself feel superior, do you understand? But then, see, it wasn't always dying old men that they did this to. Once it was a crippled young boy that they was fucked with, because I wasn't quite crippled enough to be not right, but they all knew I wasn't quite right. You know what I mean? It's like, are you fucking insane? You've all watched me flop on the ground and twat. There's no way I can fake that. It's not fakeable. Do you understand? At least, please, stop, you know? But then they want to pretend it doesn't exist. This was their game, right? I was like, huh? It was a bizarre notion, right? Oh, you've made a choice. I've made a choice? What? Bizarreness, right? Libertarianism taken way too far, you know? Way too far. Like craziness, you know? Like, what are you on? Like, yes, this is a choice I made. No, it's more like either selection made a choice, and it was just a hardware failure, or a person made a choice and there was an organic damage failure, or there was no choice made. You see how this works? That's how actual diseases, actual physical things that can be measured by doctors and put to, paper, work. You see? And since I know the basic symptoms of the disease, they say, and I know that people see me have seizures, I have the kind of, I don't want to call them catatonic states, but yeah, sure, right, okay, this has happened, it's not unknown, but they don't like to, they don't like to admit this, you know what I mean? It makes it less fun, I guess, when they realize that who they consider a half-wit epileptic is giving them fucking hell. Makes it less fun for them, I think. Right. Because you see, of them, if you actually sit down with me in person and ask me about my life directly, I'm not going to answer you on the internet. But if you sit right here, like a man, and ask me like a man, anything you want to know, I'll look in the eye, and I'll tell you the answer. See? So this is... Okay. They live by the lie. They live by deception, you know. Anything you want to know. Anything. It's as simple as that is. Just don't worry. If you're going to be that close, and you're my kind, one of us isn't leaving. Probably me. You're probably younger and faster. Good. Good. No shame. You see? No pity. You know? I'm that guy, right? I'm a throwback to another world that existed before this one, I think. Oh, and there's probably my mother. Boy. Hello, folks. How y'all doing today? Oh, yeah, it's another day. That's all it is. Just another day for us. You know, folks, this whole media narrative. We've just been reading a whole bunch of news today, and just the whole spiel. So, if the far right, I guess anybody who's not the media or Antifa or leftist approved, does anything, well, you know, the sky's falling, it's the end of the world, we're all gonna die, you know, right? Greatest evil ever, injustice, tragedy, outrage, blah, blah. However, you know, call me funny, but I don't remember the days and days and days of moralizing over Antifa burning out Seattle over here, that streetway, which was pretty well pillaged and destroyed. Like a day later, it was just gone. Strange. That's weird. Okay. All right. Maybe they just didn't know about Black Bloc then. But all this Black Bloc violence in Europe, we don't really hear about that much. It's really weird, isn't it? It's strange. Huh? And then in Portland, see how this works? It's like whatever they do just happens and it's gone. First opportunity, kick the dirt over it. But anything that, on the other side, on the other hand, oh, the shame, the shame. You say you people don't kill people, leftists. You're going to use that one broad's death, since I'm going to tell you point blank, to your face, that if you're rioting in contradiction to law, and you endanger someone else's life, I don't give a fuck about your ideology. You have no right to do that. So, do you understand? No, that's just the way it is. In other words, when you act in a way that could put blood on your head, you put the blood on your own head. End of story. You don't have a right to shut down streets. You don't have a right to shut down a lawfully permitted event. No, you do not. Now, you have a right to be somewhere nearby and have your say, but you do not have a right to conduct violence. Oh, well, who do you think the right wing would have had violence with if you weren't there? Do you think they were going to beat each other up? I highly doubt it. Okay? And let's be perfectly clear about this. This isn't just this one event. You have that event in Boston that I commented on at the time it happened. Now that was Jack Posobiec, as I recall. He's not exactly alt-right or a Nazi. Now is he? Pretty cucky, yeah. Pretty middle-of-the-road GOP. And yet, these crazy people descended on his little gathering and were vile and were rude and frankly, again, like any of these kind of people's courts, you know, that's exactly what reminds me of a Maoist people's court, they will eventually get violent. I mean, go watch the footage in Portland where they get right up in that old lady's face and she's in a wheelchair. She can't really move. She's not any great threat. But here these people are, me, lecturing in her face like they're, it's like, who are you, you little stubbed off twat? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, we're here to blah, blah, blah. This isn't, it's like, you're blocking a public byway. Get your ass off the street, you fucking vermin. Now, you know, I wouldn't be allowed to block the street. Not for any reason whatsoever. And I'm perfectly okay with that. Yes. Imagine that. Not these people. No.
If you watch the long extended versions of the Portland footage, you'll notice eventually they actually try to physically prevent people and hit cars, try to pull on car doors, on the door handle. Try to basically jack people, yeah. Okay? And some of them are extremely unpleasant. Oh, you're just a white asshole and all this. I mean, the guy's saying it's Snow White himself. Makes no sense to me, right? Makes no sense. The guy just seems to be some old guy that's maybe visiting the area. You understand? It's utterly insane, particularly when these Khmer Rouge, and that's what they're acting like, the Khmer Rouge, when they took Phnom Penh and they were directing people around like traffic light. It's exactly what it reminds me of, nothing less. Okay? You can just go this way. It's like, well, what if I choose to go that way? You know? How about you get your ass off the road, you goofbag imbeciles, and go do whatever it is your low-life, low-ass does somewhere else. Yeah? How about that? Since, again, I would not be allowed to block the road. Right-wing Nazis would not be allowed to block the road. The GOP sorts would not be allowed to do this, even if they wished to, and so forth. Paleo-conservatives couldn't do this. Libertarians wouldn't be allowed to do this. Why is Antifa permitted to do these sorts of things? Why do they feel entitled to burn statues, break things, rip statues down, all these other things they did after Charlottesville? Why do they think they're entitled to do that? And save the death of the woman. That is, I don't care what the court said. You get this? I don't worship your law. Okay? That's a political trial, a political prisoner. Of course it's going to be severe punishments. Duh. And no, he's not going to get out on appeal. So, well, no, it won't happen. The system can't reverse itself without saying that he's morally okay. Because that's the point of law here, is that he is morally corrupt. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's what the court was actually trying. Because in effect, the whole thing is corrupt from the beginning. One side had a permit. It wasn't Antifa. Yeah, that's right. The alt-right guys had a permit to do a lawful march, which they would have done, and went home. But guess who wanted to cause violence? And then guess who decided that they were going to put both groups together? That was the police that did that. Now, I say that they made a critical mistake by even going back the second day. When they showed up at night with the torches and had them flat-footed, that was perfect. They should have simply went low, went somewhere 10, 15 miles down the road, filmed it, ate some hot dogs, and went home. That way this kid wouldn't be in jail, and they'd all be big lol on them. Because Antifa still would have showed up there. How would they know the plant had been moved? Unless there's a rat, in which case, well, then you have some heads to crack, don't you? No. Yeah, that's how you deal with rats. You don't let people go snitch on you. Well, folks, how y'all doing today? Oh, just sitting back, kicking back, thinking about Antifa torching the town, You ever notice it's always those fascists? Now, of course, the goal is to conflate everyone who objects to political correctness, diversity, tolerance, and all the rest of it. Because really, who wants to be forced to accept anything? Okay? I mean, I don't know. That's the essence of the issue with me, right? I don't like being compelled by anyone or anything, right? Particularly not to accept very suboptimal results. It's just, Now, if you don't agree with that, they're going to have a go at you. Okay? Oh, it's winding up in a big way. Okay. So we have, basically, our nation's capital gets torched by Antifa. They do the black bloc thing, right? For days, the only thing that you're going to hear about, the only thing you did hear about, was how there were white people who were mean to colored people.
I guess some colored conservative lady, some Antifa told them off. And now it's a racist thing, even though Antifa ally with anti-racist skinhead types. Do you understand? Now, of course, what this is the colored lady playing her little race privilege of being able to, oh, you oppose me. Any opposition to me is racism. They do it in the Republican Party, too, you know. Okay, so she's not really as conservative as she'd like to play, but hey, you know. And then besides the evil racist bother colored people story, we have a whole bunch of, you know, fascists loot and riot, fascists, you know, so forth. Antifa aren't fascists. They're anti-fascist communists. Anti-fascist communists. Okay, right? But you see, of course, the dumb chucks who believe, you know, that Donald Trump has fallen from heaven to save them, or that the other party is going to create a Marx to come and liberate them. It's remarkable how religious-like both of them are, really. They don't want to deal with that because, you know, anything that's not the GOP must not be American, because American means, what does American even mean when some Hindu street squatter gets to tell you about what America means? It means America's a cheap whorehouse, right? And of course they don't want to hear this because this is a little too close to reality for them, right? They have to live in some artificial reality where everything's as good as it humanly could get, and to even think about wanting more would just be entitled, right? Particularly if you make $14K a year, live in a trailer park, and have to live around immense amounts of problems and drugs and violence. Psh, don't ever want more. If you want more, you're greedy. Okay? Now that's the wind-up of it all. That's why they try to conflate all this every single time. It comes down to basically, if it's not the GOP, it's some kind of socialism to them. Do you see? What do you think about that? So once you think that through, and Antifa doesn't do anything to dispel this. They don't care. I'd like to note to you that Antifa, if they could, they would just murder the GOP and the Democrats with no problems. Okay? And in fact, if you allow them to grow like this, and they just swelled their ranks, thousands of people saw that and said, okay? Thousands. I know I'm not supposed to actually report reality. I'm supposed to pretend, you know, that mommy and daddy, you know, did this, and so now a little baby fell over. It just isn't reality. Antifa are deadly. Okay? They're not some, like, a writing club or a gardening club or something, you know. They mean to set in motion a series of events that not only will completely politically change your country, but which will end in millions of yours deaths, if history is any guide. Okay? Okay? If you go on Twitter all day, you can see their left-wing allies, the things like, life will be better when all the white people are dead. Well, okay. I mean, when the blue checks say that, you don't think the Antifa don't see that and take note of the fact that that's the official party position? Hey? Of course they do. That's how reality works. So, is it paranoid to think that these people could want to kill you? When you know that leftists have killed groups before that they've stated that they wanted gone, right? They've, you know, the kulaks are an excellent example in Soviet Russia, right? An excellent example, but there are thousands of them, capitalist reactionaries, Gee, and they wound up murdering these people eventually. You know? But oh no, that could never happen here because why couldn't it happen here exactly? Could you tell me why? In short sentences? Because what, you have a hunting rifle? You can't even organize legally, you know? If right-wing people organized anything on the scale and scope of Antifa, it would be considered a terrorist organization immediately and shut down. Okay? So, you know, what planet do you people live on? Right? You're being set up for the kill. Big time. I mean, you think, oh, they made themselves look bad. To who? To who? To you? They're not in a popularity contest with you. They intend to take primal power. Do you understand? They don't care about votes. They don't care about public opinion. None of this matters. Okay? Oh, I know, because you do. It makes it somehow mystically the most important thing in the universe, but I promise you it's not. Okay? Very few people stress over these things. Antifa particularly isn't up at night. Gee, did my appearance look good? All they care about is, were they able to make the police afraid, make the civilians want to comply with what they want, stop the normal order of business, and otherwise bring attention to what they're trying to do. This is it. These are basically their 4 goals from what I can see. And by civilians, I mean anybody of any political belief that's not Antifa. They will harass, well, everyone. Now, you say this could definitely grow against them, and yeah, it can. It can certainly lead into a situation where there's a, you know, like a massive center-right kind of, you know, alliance against them. Sure. But how much damage will they have done by then? You know? Oh, folks, how y'all doing today? You know, we're not as good as we could be. We're not as bad as we could be either, I guess. 6 of one, half dozen the other situation. As it sits, though, you know, we hear it an awful lot in America. Our media is so, I think it's actually worse than the BBC. I've watched the BBC on occasion. I do, you know, but I think it's worse. Because here, you get no context with any information at all. Do you understand? It's just sort of like this. This is American media in a nutshell. Country A is our enemy and has resources we want. Okay, we don't want to admit that we want their resources. So the media will, they're human rights violators. They're human rights violators, you know. Basically, they don't support feminism and sodomy. That's what it comes right down to in the end. They're human rights violators. Right? Now, have you ever noticed, though, that these human rights violators are never, ever our allies? That's right. KSA. KSA is one of the most blatant examples. They're our ally, allegedly, right? They're actually something like our junior partner might be more appropriate, since they have a great amount of power over imperial policy with their petrodollar peg, you know. It's interlocked. I mean, we can topple them too, but you know, right? You never hear about the fact that, they're even more backwards than, say Iran, that you hear about every day, all day, without lit up. That's because a certain country whose dual citizen fifth columnists control our media and our finance want Iran toppled, and they don't want KSA toppled. KSA is also their silent partner. Yes, they both work against us in tandem to force America to behave the way they'd like in the region. Correct. Now, an actual American first foreign policy here would be to make rapprochement with the Iranians and make both of these other entities moot, make them irrelevant. You understand? And then further, since it's the petrodollar of the KSA that allows this whole cahoots against us, because it fuels the finance that pays for the whole corruption here at home, chop them right down to size after you have the Iranian oil online to secure its replacement to keep a peg for the dollar. Thus, the petrodollar stands and KSA goes. Oh, and the doppelganger state is, right, flushed right out. Of course, then their fifth columnist here would overplay their hand, go full hysterics, and they could be easily invited to go to Israel. Right. That's a real American first foreign policy. It doesn't involve bootlicking to the murderers of Christ, right? What do you want me to say? It also doesn't involve toadying to any of these Gulf Arabs. They're vile people who, frankly, should be knocked right back down to the 10th century and kept there forever. Now, how do you want me to say it? The only people in the Gulf with anything like culture that are the Arabs are the Shia. I don't know what to say. Traditionally, Shiitism has produced much more art, literature, poetry, things that you associate with culture, right? They're simply more intellectual on whole. I don't know what to say. Now, of course, there are fundamentalist fanatics amongst them too. Sure, right? But it isn't the majority of them, like saying KSA, or Wahhabism, which is basically Muhammad's brand of Islam. I mean, it's as pure right off the spigot as it gets, right from the still. That's the official religion and pretty much the only allowed one. There's no such prohibition like this in Iran, though they do encourage you to become a 12 Shia, but it isn't required. Okay? Right. Moreover, again, KSA effectively has no history that goes back before the House of Saud, really. Okay? They have no history. Ooh, there's a few desert ruins, whatever. Persia has existed for 4,000 years. They don't have any interest in committing suicide at this point in time. Do you understand? Who would I rather do business with? People who have ran the gamut of 4,000 years, or these moron desert bandits? Well, let me think about this. And I can be free of, let me think, 1, 2, 3, 5 foreign states by simply backstabbing him for this one. Wow. That seems like a real politic good deal. Yeah. Because I don't give a fuck about Pakistan being destabilized. Good. I hope some of these Mecca ragheads nuke each other. Great. Perfect resolution to the problem. You understand? So it saves us the problem of having to do it ourselves. Right. Since that's the end game here. Idiots. All of you have no sense with this. You always think all of these are final ends. Nope. If you needed to know, I would have already told you. Keep your mind on that. Right? The fact of the matter is that I keep much behind my eyes to myself. You know what I'm saying? Much. On the other hand, I tell you what you need to know. And none of what I'm saying is a lie. Iran is more civilized than these other countries. It could be long-term relied on much more than them. It has much greater prospects for long-term stability. Okay? Since even if Iran's oil were to go away, it still has infrastructure aside from oil. KSA has nothing. Literally nothing. Okay? Now, I know, people will start showing me pictures of cities and such in KSA. Oh, okay, dum-dum. What are those cities based on? Oil profits. There's nothing else underlying them. There's no industry. There's not much of an agricultural sector. And when I say no industry, I don't mean absolutely no, like zero industry, but look, there's a level under which if you don't have a certain amount of industrialization, you're going to be a third world country. Period. KSA is a third world country. I don't say. In fact, on the Saudi Arabian peninsula itself, there are only maybe two countries that might qualify not to be, and one of them has been bombed into rubble. So that leaves one. The Arab Emirates, United Arab Emirates, is slightly more advanced than the other. I mean, it has some kind of agricultural sector, a small amount of industrial sector, and so forth. It's still mostly petroleum, but right. I mean, look how good that works with Venezuela when the oil spigot gets shut off. Not real good, folks. That's Saudi Arabia's future. And that state is what stabilizes our dollar and gives it the world reserve power that allows us to import all of these things for effectively what amounts to paper. Okay? Now, if that goes, America will become a third world Bantustan in about 6 months. It's a fact. You don't have to like it, but it's a fact. Right. It doesn't need to. America could not become a Bantustan, but the key thing is that the choices necessary to stop this slide would be beyond the wherewithal of our politicians. They don't have the either the personal or the collective courage to do the hard policies to just tell people, fuck off, you don't get a vote. We're doing this way because it will be done this way, and that's it. You know, they've lost. Do you understand? So they just are being drug along by this little doppelganger, and it's been our silent partner. This is how stupid our elite really are, right? I don't know. I would backstab KSA immediately. And I do mean immediately. Like, right now, immediately. For one thing, I would try to overthrow his KSA and then put the Shiites on power. Oh, right, just let them have the hand over the Sunnah outright. Let them go to town on them. Less is more with Arabs, yes, right. So, and they'll kill each other if given a chance. Don't you worry about that. You don't have to provoke them. You just have to leave them alone and let their own tribal feuds work out. And they'll kill each other. Don't you kid yourself. They're like orcs that way. They are. They're extremely violent. Particularly the Peninsula Arabs are, yeah, they're something else. Now, any route, it doesn't seem like it'd be hard, you know. It seems like it'd be much more to our long-term advantage than playing human rights, you know. Human rights. Who gives a fuck about human rights? I care about power and dominance and authority. And our authority and our dominance, our power, are best assured by ensuring that Iranian oil comes to us at a decent price. And that means some kind of accord with them. Period. That's it. There's no other in-between about it. It also means that KSA and the doppelganger state, thrown out window. Because they're useless to these ends. Useless. In fact, no, they're an impediment to these ends. So, you know. Is that cold-blooded? Yeah. Yeah, it is. But that's what you being first is about. It's not about, you know, serving other people's interests.